Well, today finds me in a nature preserve that's well known for its forest of black oak trees. This is the Sand Hill Nature Preserve in Pulaski County, Indiana, which isn't really near anything, but if you were driving from Indianapolis to Chicago, it would be about halfway. And this part of Indiana is known for its sand deposits. There's huge deposits of sand. There's dunes right along Lake Michigan. There's huge dunes, hundreds of feet high, full of sand. And even away from Lake Michigan, there's a lot of smaller dunes. So that creates a unique habitat for trees that we don't always find in the moister and more what they call mesic soils of the Midwest and Ohio Valley. I've got some medium-sized black oak trees right here. To a casual observer, it may be confused with a red oak or a scarlet oak, but there are some obvious differences if you take some time to look. The black oak is not black in color, but it is a darker tan or a darker gray than the red oak or the scarlet oak. And this is a sunny day, so the bark is not wet. This is how dark it is when it's not wet. The pattern, similar to a scarlet oak, it has these polygons, but they tend to be longer than they are wide. So they're more like rectangles. And at the base, especially the bottom 2 or 3 feet of a scarlet oak, they're almost always in hexagons and squares and pentagons. So a subtle difference, but a difference nonetheless. These trees are medium height, maybe 60 to 80 feet. I haven't found one that's growing straight yet. They all seem to lean one direction or another and a little bit gnarled looking. The acorns and the leaves are different than the red oak and the scarlet oak as well. Let's take a look. I don't have scarlet oak with me today, but on the right, I've got the acorns from a red oak tree that I found a few days ago, about 1 inch wide and 1 inch tall, with the cap on it is stitched together like somebody knit it really nicely and knitted it so all the little flakes are glued together real well. There's nothing loose. No loose knitting on that acorn cap. And these black oak acorns on the left have a lot of loose knitting or loose flakes along the top of the cap. And that's another way you could tell that from a scarlet oak. The scarlet oak does not have that loose or flaky appearance to the top of the acorn. And this is the summer of 2020, and coin shortage is obvious. I didn't have a coin to put in here. Got out of the habit of carrying them, but for scale, I would say those black oak acorns on the left are about 3/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch in size, and our red oak acorns on the right are about 1 inch. So they're larger and more neatly knit together on the cap. The leaves are from a sapling here. This black oak is on the left. And again, the bark is darker on the black oak tree, and the top or the sunny side of the leaf is darker than a red oak or a scarlet oak. It's quite dark. And the bottom side is a lighter color, and it has a real fuzzy feel. It is not smooth, it has a fuzzy feel. And here's from a red oak I got a few days ago. And again, it's a lighter color on top here, and the bottom side is smooth to the touch. The bottom side is similar color to the black oak on the left, but it is smooth to the touch. The top side of the red oak is several shades lighter than that of the black oak. Now that black oak leaf here is from a sapling that's growing aggressively. It's the size of $2 bills, two $1 bills end to end. And they aren't always that big, but most of these saplings that I'm finding growing underneath this mature tree here do have those large leaves. And they also have these little spines on the end. Where the leaf is almost round, there's an obvious spine on the end. And there's some right there. And a little spine right there. And I'll add just a few seconds of additional video on the leaf comparison for the black oak tree. The day after I found these black oak trees here at the Sand Hill Nature Preserve in Pulaski County, Indiana, I drove up to Indiana Dunes and found some pin oak and some scarlet oak so we can do a direct comparison. We're back here at the Sandhill Nature Preserve, and what we've got here are the leaves that could be found on the upper part of the black oak tree on the left that could be confused with the scarlet oak in the middle and the pin oak on the right. But if you look carefully, there's a much darker color on these black oak leaves. They are notched out, just like the scarlet oak, but maybe not quite as much. And the pin oak is very narrow at the midrib there, and it can be confused with the scarlet oak as well. Often they do not grow on the same section of trail because of habitat differences. But our pin oak, I've done work on before, is a medium green on the front and a slightly lighter green on the back, and it is smooth. Same with the scarlet oak, medium green on the front, just a little lighter on the back, and normally it's smooth too as well. The book says sometimes you can get hairs on the little hairs on the stem. I don't see that on this leaf. And then our black oak has that orange midrib. I'm seeing that on a lot of these leaves, including this larger one here, yellow to orange midrib. And that orangish color on the back is those little hairs that you find. And you can feel them as you touch it. So the shape of the black oak leaf could be confused with the scarlet oak, and they do grow side by side on some trails and in some parks. So I'm looking at acorns, I'm looking at bark, and I'm looking at the shape and color of the leaves to make a positive identification. And boy, take a look at the size of this leaf on this black oak. This leaf came from a tree that was getting more sun, and it was not a sapling. This is just how big the leaves get on some of these trees. It's $2 bills long and a $1 bill wide. So here's our black oak, and an interesting tree, and is found in specialized habitats. And in some habitats it's dominant, like on these sand plains in northern Indiana.